Welcome to today's Ramble. Today we're going to be talking about processes and documenting your processes, and not really the client level documentation. Most MSPs of any size do that kind of well enough, but I'm talking about core processes, the processes that you need to run your business, right? The idea is that as you look to grow and scale your business, if you don't have things written down, the things that you need to do on a regular basis, your team's going to struggle and you will be capped at the level of things that people can remember. So today I'm just talking about the top 5 processes, and really these aren't necessarily like the top 5 for everybody, but these are the top 5 that come to mind for me as I'm thinking about these things. So let's get into it. So the first process is life of a ticket, right? How is the ticket born? How do you work a ticket? And how do you close a ticket, right? Let's basically that piece there. It could be a flow chart, it could be a number of different things. But the idea is that even if you don't have a PSA and you're managing tickets through Outlook, or some other fashion, an Excel spreadsheet or something like that, there's still a process that should be followed on every single ticket. So that's process number 1. Process number 2 is all about your invoicing and accounts receivable stuff, right? So there are a number of MSPs that have been doing this for a long time that struggle with, a ton of accounts receivable. And the idea here is that 1, you want to make sure invoices go out on time every time and they're accurate. But 2, you want to make sure that you understand how to do collections for when a client can't pay you or won't pay you for whatever reason. Um, it's a challenging enough thing to deal with at all, but trying to deal with it on the fly for the very first time can be extremely daunting. So think about it and document it before you get into it. The other piece is be mindful of the NCE stuff, right? So that whole Microsoft NCE where you got to prepay a year in advance if you want the better rates and all that. Make sure you have a plan for that. Make sure you understand how to deal with it should a company go out of business or stop paying, right? So, that accounts receivable and invoicing process is process number 2. The third one is your time entry process, right? It's obviously related to your life of a ticket, but time entry is one of those core things that you need to do well all the time, especially as you head towards more and more managed clients. Having accurate time entry will tell you how profitable your company is on an agreement by agreement basis. And while you can figure some of it out with your financials, it's really important to be mindful of how your agreements are affected by how busy a client may have you running around. So that is the thing, right? The time entry is important. The fourth one is your sales process. And this isn't like getting new leads, but this is once you have a lead where you want to take that lead from start to finish. Much like your ticket process, having a solid, consistent sales process for how you intake a lead and you have your initial meetings and you do some sort of audit to proposal to eventually onboarding the client, like having that dialed in early and iterate it over time is going to be helpful for you as you look to grow your business. Because at some point, you may want to step away from sales, and having somebody else being able to take over some of that or all of it is going to be important. And so, document it. And the other thing is, just being consistent in your sales efforts will yield you better sales results. So your sales process is process number 4. And the last one is your new employee onboarding process. You're going to be hiring people, especially if you are a smaller MSP and you're going to start hiring techs. And a lot of your first people you're going to hire are technicians. So having a plan to get your techs from hire date to productive for your company is going to be a big important thing to kind of tackle. It's going to be a thing you're going to iterate it over time, but have an idea about how you're going to handle it, because it's really important to get that done well. Getting your techs efficient and functional for your company is important. And you don't want to just throw them out in the field, right? You don't want to just say, here, go solve this problem. And while that might work here and there, that's not a repeatable thing that you're going to want to do for your business. So those are my top 5. The last thing here is you could really make some sort of argument about some other process should be here, right? Like, cool, that's fine. You don't tell me which processes you think I should talk about. Once you have these processes dialed in, make sure you're following them, especially as a business owner, because It's really hard to get your team to do things that you aren't willing to do for yourself, right? So don't be the hypocrite business owner where you say, do as I say, not as I do, right? That's not a good place to be. So with that, thanks for coming on this ramble with me, and I'd like to see you in the next one.